Hi, and welcome back to the Bestrong Show. I am your host, Michelle Shirley, CEO and Chief Heart Officer for Bestrong International. Thank you so much for joining us today. So before I get into it, because I've been laughing before I even started coming onto the set, I want to share to all of our sponsors, thank you so much for supporting our back to school drive. We served 1,500 individuals with food, backpacks, and we saw the real need. But you know what was most important to us? The smiling faces of kids and families who really know and understand today that we are for them. We want them to start the school year off strong academically with all the tools that they need. And we could not have done that effort without your support. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And if you're interested in learning more about Bestrong, visit us at bestrongintl.org. So I don't want to take up any more time because I am so excited to introduce to you all today Sara Gibson, who is the CEO and co-founder of 20 Degrees. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh,
Sara.
what a joy. Thank you for having me.
I know. I was going through who do I bring on to the show? And I'm just like, wait a minute. We have been talking.
We've been talking.
And we've been working on so many things, which we're going to share today. But I just said, you know what? I'm the type of person that really when I see something good, I want it to be blasted to the whole universe because what you guys are doing is so incredibly good. It changed the way our team even thinks about how we're going to bring in revenue now.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have done that without your support. So I know I met you in United Way at United Way meeting, right?
Yeah,
and I
did.
kind of pounced on her because I was like,
I was here for it.
I need her, right? And then that was it.
Well, I feel the same way about Social Yaks.
Yeah.
So I've been telling everyone about social. So I'm excited. It's a double blessing to be here.
Yes. So I want to get right into it because I feel like this topic is so it's just so needed right now in our world, and how we as leaders, nonprofit leaders especially, are trying to figure out how do they already tap into what they have and make it a revenue stream that allows them to grow, to scale, to not have to do the things that I walked into telling you this morning, like staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning, writing a grant. Well, and we're not going to put those things to the side, but it won't bring us so much anxiety if we know that we have this beautiful made nest egg of a product or a service that we can really rely on to bring in revenue. And so you guys are doing amazing work. Yeah. I want you to share a little bit about 20 Degrees before we dig into it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you again for having me. It's just such a joy to be here with you and your community, and also so great to hear about the back to school. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know how to build community, Michelle. And so the fact how you brought all these people for the community, with the community for back to school needs, this work, it matters and it's good, and we don't do hard things alone. Yeah, which is what you're going to hear a lot about from me today. So before we dig in, it's probably worth saying, who am I? Because I think a lot of times when you meet people who have a solution, or you want to know who you're dealing with, right? Have you sat in the trenches? How do you know this is? Where'd you come to this? So a little bit about me to start. So I'm a mom of an amazing teenager and the wife of a public servant. So that's always just so important to me. I am a former fundraiser who actually liked fundraising but knew it was an incomplete solution.
Okay, wait. So stop. Because did anybody just hear her say she
I know, there's 5 others of us in the world.
It's true. Right? Liked fundraising. Because it is so intense. It's tough.
Yeah, but when you make, with your sponsors, right? The back to school, it wasn't just the community, it wasn't just the smiling kid. That's why we do it. Yeah. But they weren't the only, right? Because we all need to feel connected to something bigger than us. Yes, and for some people, their place for what they can do is they write checks. Yeah. And so we are connectors in all sorts, and they wouldn't know a community. So that is the part of fundraising that even in a broken revenue model, there is still joy with donors.
Can I just snap with the broken revenue model? Because from the time I came in to Bestrong, and my background was in business. My degree is in business. I just said, what is this about?
What is this about?
No. Yeah. And it's taken a while to try to figure out how to get off of this system that has been built for nonprofits that you have to figure out how you break away from. So continue.
We're going to talk more about, I mean, the model we are operating under is not sufficient for what the sector is being asked to do.
Ooh.
But we're smart. We're figuring it out. And we're creative and we're dogged and we don't know how to quit. So
I know, that part. That's the part.
What are you going to do? Like, go do something else? Like,
right.
So when we have this, well, there's innovation. It's happening.
Right.
So what else do you need to know? I am an irreverent optimist. I'm not a Pollyanna, but I think there's almost always a way forward.
Yes.
Not always obvious. And the other thing that most people don't know is that I am from the Midwest and I skip a mean rock. I'm a rock skipper, and do you skip rocks? Yeah. So that is sort of some of my background. I grew up in the country. That was what we did for fun. That's what we did together. And so that has its roots with 20 degrees.
Mm-hmm. So then tell us a little bit now about 20 degrees so that they can make the connection.
Yep.
Really.
So we're going to talk about physics for a minute. So the average density of a rock is 2.6 ounces.
Okay. And
the average density of water is 1 ounce. So if the rock weighs more than the water, what's supposed to happen?
Obviously, it's going to drop.
It's going to sink, right? And that is what most executive directors and leaders and heads of development and sometimes board members feel when it comes to money and how we're going to pay for staff, for programs, for evaluations, for benefits, for more program that we know our community needs. It's a lonely, sinking feeling. But the funny thing about physics is that sometimes you can defy gravity. So how does this relate to our rock? If you have the right roughly shaped rock, some rocks are easier to skip than others. So, there's some of the setup. But if it hits the water as close to 20 degrees, that is the ideal angle to skip a rock on water. And at that angle, you know what happens? We defy gravity. So our approach at 20 degrees is that just like that lonely sinking feeling is matched by math, by an approach, by community, by care. When you have in your mind an idea of skipping rocks, sometimes you skip it alone, but it can be a fun communal activity, even if it doesn't always make sense. That is but we bring community, connection, a tested method, and we'll have to say hidden math to our approach. So their revenue models can fly.
Wow. So then tell me a little bit, because I want to make sure that leaders who are listening today really get this concept that you're talking about, right? Yeah. So when it comes to approaching you all, what is your process for working with a leader?
Yeah, a couple different ways. Because we also know that we really built our organization. We wanted it to be accessible, regardless of people's budgets. And also regards to their time budgets. And we know and sometimes the time is even more scarce than dollars. So we have a couple different ways. The first thing is we have a website where we offer free tools. Right now, what is front and center is our nonprofit resilience roadmap. If you don't know what to do, if this feels like a moment where you don't have answers, go to click on the freely available tool on our website. So 20degs.com, and it is free. It will walk you step by step in a 4-part process about how to sense make when it all feels crazy or unpredictable or scary or you feel alone. That was written with an executive director who was writing a grant at midnight.
Wow.
And maybe couldn't call someone or didn't know who to call. But, someone got a letter out there. So that is the first thing.
Okay.
The second way, just reach out to us. We have ways to help people. We do things like financial resilience. What does that mean? It means we have We help with budgeting. We help with future budgeting. We're most known for our earned revenue work. Right. If grants and philanthropy feels inadequate or not enough, well, we have to make the pie bigger. I know we're going to talk more about that. Yeah. Where we see nonprofits. What is so awesome about South Florida is there is an energy here.
Yeah.
And
vibe.
Yeah, totally. An amazing vibe. And in business and tech and innovation. And what doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, is the innovation that happens in the business of social enterprise.
So true. Yeah.
So waiting for and there's all sorts of people who might not even know it exists, so they can't even support it.
Yeah. So good. So I'm thinking right now of like a circle of nonprofit friends that I know that weren't in the cohort that we were in, which we'll talk about quickly, but they are in the community. They're a nonprofit. They may have 1 or 2 grants, right? How would they then start? Like, do you offer at least maybe a consultation first just to see where they are, what things they need to think about before they can probably write you in or somehow
Okay. Absolutely. One of my favorite parts about my job is I talk to nonprofit leaders. So I am highly reachable by email, LinkedIn, our website head, and I will talk to any leader for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And here's what I know. Every one of those conversations, when they're my favorite thing to do, they help me because then I understand. I would say I like to talk to leaders before their first cup of coffee because then I really know what they're afraid of. And that means I can build to the question and the problem. So it is a gift when I hear the real from a leader. I also don't think it should just be about me hearing. In those conversations, they're free knowledge share because I don't do hard things alone. And even a small conversation creates connection. Yeah. You know, we have the benefit of working with thousands of organizations, so I can hotwire knowledge. Yeah. I don't know everything, but I can usually give a hack or at least a thought or an article in that time. And then, as I said, it helps me because then I make sure I don't lose touch
close to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I've worked in more basements than anything else, so I get nervous if there's too many windows in my office.
Yeah. No, so I want to get into the cohort. And I think for us, as you know, you met Juan, you met Francesca, amazing team members. You have an amazing team as well. I want to get into how you structure your sessions when a nonprofit is kind of there. They're thinking about it. They've gone through several conversations with you. They're going to join a cohort. Because for us, one of the things that we realized is if we were going to be serious about it, we would have to prioritize the time around it, right? And this was apart from meeting with you all for that hour. We then had to set aside internal time to dig through, to learn, to talk about, to recreate, to strategize, right? And so I want you to talk about what that lift is so that people can be aware that if they walk into something like this is not just, I'm just going to sit. And I've been to those things is what I'm saying. I've been to things where you just sit there, you take notes and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. But no one's pushing you and you don't necessarily have that internal capabilities or strength to do some of the things that are required of you. So
yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for the opportunity to also talk about just getting to the starting line for a more resilient revenue model takes intention. So here's a couple practical things. First, we do earned revenue 101 webinars.
Right.
We have one on our website. We do them from time to time. We've collaborated with the Miami Foundation to bring these. Among others, but they are free offerings. And in what we talk about in that 45 minutes are things that must be true for you to have improved odds that your social venture will work. And they're all the things you're talking about. And we're also pretty realistic because we don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good. I mean, why are you all successful? Because you did all those things. Right. You came to the cohort, our Rev Up SoFlo work. You knew what you were doing. You were, in many ways, further along than even others in the cohort. So what I love about being with you in this conversation is, one, you understand the work, you've done the work, and you're just even at the beginning of seeing all the advantages to it. So things that we know need to be true. One, the leader has to say that this is a priority. Not the only priority, because we know there's, on any given day, you are a firefighter, even under the best of circumstances with the most amazing staff, which I know we all have. But if the CEO or the executive director doesn't decide that this is a non-negotiable project in the next 3, 6, 9, in the near term months, it will not happen.
I'm just getting chills because when you say this, I'm also getting a little emotional right now because in the last maybe 5 years, we've taken a step forward, taken a step back, step forward, step back. And not intentionally step backs, but because, like you said, it wasn't the main or one of the North Stars that it really kind of just, when the pressure was on, it was like, just put it to the side. And this year we said, no more. No more. And then everything just aligned. Like DeLuca reached out and then I was bothering you like, hey, we need to make sure we do this well, right?
Well, I mean,
very powerful.
2 things that come to me. One, I mean, the universe listens. So she knows. And 2, what I've experienced with Bestrong and the most successful social ventures, the money matters, of course, but that isn't the reason why you do it. It's about impact. It's about further ripples of the rock. So if you were just trying to solve just a money problem, first of all, there's other ways to do it.
Right.
I don't know if they're easier or worse, but there are other ways.
Right.
But if it is an opportunity for a different revenue model and a possibility of deeper impact, both of those things have to be behind the why.
That's good.
A lot of people ask the question about taxation, and there's a lot of bad information right now where people are saying if you have this amount of earned revenue, you could lose your 501c3. You know, this is not tax advice. You should talk. You should talk to your CPA and your lawyer. But we believe deeply your social enterprise should be related to your IRS stated mission. First, that keeps you safe. And it's true.
Yeah.
And when it's true, then it is not just a side project that's about money that can be very complicated when it's about impact. And what I observed, even from our first conversation, it was about a year ago, actually, there's a sharpening of like, this is how we are going to use social yaks to be more of that connection with the kids. But we're going to bring that feeling to other places that also need it too.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh my goodness. So I don't want you to lose your thought because you're like dropping gems in this session right now. So the first part you said is to be a part of this cohort and to walk into something like big like this is intention. The CEO has to make it a priority, right? Second thing,
you have to have someone else. Don't do hard things alone. If the leader is the only person who is thinking about this, it also is not likely to work. It can, but it is unlikely to be as successful as it might be. Now, but who is this other person? Because to start telling your staff that you have this, like that's not a great, that isn't great. But it can be any variety of people. In some cases, there's a 5%, a 1 hour a week from someone on your team who wants to grow. It can be a board member who has some ideas and wants to dig in, but you haven't quite found the right slot for them. It can be a volunteer who either just retired or is just out of school, or there's a lot of different reasons why people want to be of service, and tapping into that. So that's the second thing. You got to find at least one other person.
Right.
Ideally, you'd find a little money. $500, $1,000, $5,000, $50,000, $250,000, $500. $1 million. There are ways you can move it forward, but you need a little bit of real money. But 3 figures is enough to run a test. You also need an openness to being different. Social enterprise requires leaders to consider a new way to pay for change. And that's some rewiring.
Oh, let's unpack that, because the unwiring part for me, I'm unraveling and unwiring all the time. Right? It's just like, I also learned, it's funny because my COO and I were talking about this. Like, I am so on the end of executing a vision and being super creative and all the things. But I've learned now to parking lot some of this, because the team is just like, wait,
what?
Wait, what?
Why are you going to Neptune? I'm trying to get to New Jersey.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a struggle that I had for a long time. Like, why aren't you guys, come on? And they're excited about it. They're just like, but how? Like, this is bigger than us. Like, how, and so being able to break that down in bite-sized pieces, you need an operations person who can logistically say, like, okay, wait, let's figure out how this ripples into the organization. I was missing that part.
Well, and that's probably why you're making more progress forward. Yeah. You were missing your partner.
I was missing my partner. Yep.
I have that with my co-founder. We are the yin to the yang. He's the engineer. He's the funder background. And he came from out of the funding world. He came out of aeronautical engineering. Wow. So I would be like, well, I've written things on cocktail napkins. And he'll say, give me a minute. And so, I think that especially for visionaries who will bring an organization to a place of sustainability, you need to have a partner. Yeah. If you're lucky, it's a staff person. It isn't always, but there's always someone who can be called in.
Yeah. No, so that's beautiful. I love what you said about that. That unlearning and unthinking. And it's almost like, okay, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit and come back. How, as a sector, do we get the funders and the philanthropic sector to unlearn as well? Because I feel like sometimes we can move ahead of them and then still have to deal with the crux and the box that they're sticking us in. Yeah. Where it's very difficult to innovate and to be creative. Yeah. So I don't know if you have.
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts.
Thoughts around that.
I think so. I'm actually optimistic on philanthropy engaging differently. I have seen here, I've seen places across the country where I think what we realize is that philanthropy also has to be different. They move more slowly. They have different constituents. They have different pressures that are largely theirs to manage, and they do. Yeah. But what I've observed in the last, certainly since COVID, and it's accelerated through the last 2 years, is that there's this collective acknowledgement of, I don't think this is working for anyone. There's an argument, did it ever work? But we're going to put that aside for a little while. But as the sector of change makers, willing change makers, are now saying, we aren't going to stop. Our community will not let us stop. What we must do is find the resources. And now we see philanthropy saying, we can't have you stop. There is a different posture. There's an evolution of how government is funding some of this work, and that's happening across the country. So we just have to find another solution where we rearrange our partnerships a bit. So things that I have seen, and why that first cohort of Rev Up SoFlo until we have our second cohort is important, because when you see it, you can do it. And you can support it. So credit to the DeLuca Foundation, absolutely, and the Miami Foundation to say, this is what our nonprofit leaders are asking for. They are asking for ways to diversify their revenue with earned revenue in social enterprise. Yeah. And so let's use this moment and find people who are ready to go, and some who just wanted to be on the journey. We're in different places. Let's see what happens when we put them together. We give them adequate support, and we also give them a public moment to share what they're talking about. Yeah. The question I get most often is social enterprise. Great. Like what? I said, well, let me tell you what happened in Miami just a few weeks ago. We had one group that talked about this connection card game that you could buy for your family, and that next family outing that's a little awkward, you can do this. I'll talk about the organization that is now offering training for hotels in human trafficking because it is required. It's a great partner. Let's talk about that group that is doing grief work for corporations. Did you know how much it was costing you? Let's talk about the app that helps caregivers in the first 30 days when someone they know has diabetes. Powerful. So let's talk. And when what we have seen, and we saw it, when people come together, not fragmented, in new conversations, and there's genuine idea exchange, which I do see is happening here, and I see it happening I see it happening across country. I'm optimistic about a new conversation. Will it move fast enough? I hope so. But that's where we keep pushing. That's where these conversations matter. Yeah. No, it's so good. I can tell you that the cohort experience and all that we learned, it really challenged us, but it also changed us in a lot of ways. And I would say because I think we're so passionate, driven, and heartfelt about the work that we do, but we also needed people to recognize the worth of what it was that we were providing. And so our struggle was the pricing and oh my goodness, and I don't know, we could do it for free, we can charge a little bit and all the things. And then one time I remember, and I just recently told Juan, I said, you know what? This is so good. We have to stop. We have to charge. And the fact that people even charge me, right, for the things that we need as far as on a consultant basis and all the things, these are the same sorts of things that people are doing all the time, right? And so our value will be what we charge. And when we bring it, we show up, we're professional, we do all the things, they have a wonderful experience, but let's not lessen that because we're afraid to put a value on what we think is important and worthwhile that can change people's lives. Yeah. So that was that sits with me. And especially because you have such an entrepreneurial spirit, that was even something, that is the most common objection that we hear from leaders who intellectually know they have to do something different, but it feels counter to their mission. Yeah. To talk about money, to talk about charging. So here's what we would offer, and I wonder how this lands with you. One of my sheroes, this founder of this amazing federally qualified health center years ago, she also had patients who had insurance. We were one of them. Right. And she said, I need some of my people to pay, not because of the money, sure, that's helpful, but because you will give me feedback. Now, the price, that's the art of it, but there's a method to it. And when people pay anything, they will tell you either with their feet or with their feedback if what you are doing is having the intended impact. Yep. And we all need as many feedback mechanisms as we can. So that is one. And that two, where we make it very clear, our goal is not to charge your beneficiaries, the people who your nonprofit exists to serve. Right. But there's a chance to find someone nearby. Yeah. Another someone who cares about what you're doing and who's going to buy this service. Right. And who would rather buy it from a trusted, we know nonprofits are some of the most trustworthy in all of our sector, in all of our society right now. Yeah. So I would rather buy it from someone, whatever my service is. Yeah, exactly. Graphic design or, any. And then you're giving back. Yeah. It's a win-win, right? Yeah. And then when I want to go donate, I already know who I want to donate to. Right. You're just building that cycle of partnership and touch points. So no, this was so good. I wanted to get into even more, but I want to get to the game really quickly and just have people get to know a little bit more about you. So let's break the ice with the first card. Break the ice. Yeah. Okay. What culture has your favorite food? Now, I am a foodie. So the answer... I remember because I texted you when I was in DC. I was like, what's the flavor? My first answer is all of them. But my second answer is France. And here's why. One, they haven't, it's not interesting in some way to say the French have great food. Many people know that. But what I most appreciate about the culture of food in France is it is an arc. Each course has its place. The conversation has expectations that where you really get to genuinely connect with who you're dining with.
Nice.
We lived there for 1 year in 2007. And while my French is not so good, I famously was fired by my French teacher. My food French got to be pretty good. I could read market. And so I could figure out that the €1 bin of vegetables could become a soup and a salad. I figured, a couple slices of ham could go a long way as an aperitif over a very short glass of wine. So this idea that it isn't just food for calories or energy, but it was food as a means to connect.
Yeah, very good. That's nice. Oh, okay. We'll go into the next one.
All right.
Go get social.
Okay. What are you most passionate about? Community. Connection.
Right. Check.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
that was easy.
I said, I did a friend this morning who said, "What's that you say?" I said, "Don't do hard things alone." She said, "Don't you forget that you also have people." And so we gotta live it. So
yeah, that's good stuff.
I suspect we share this.
Yeah, we do.
Digging deeper.
Let's go deeper.
If every person had a warning label, what would yours say? Talks fast, thinks quickly, but always wants to be present.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's beautiful. Yeah, we need more of that. That's part of our hard skills, being emotionally.
All right. Okay.
All right. So you're going to read that one.
Okay.
And I'm going to answer it.
Oh, okay. See. How would you describe me in 3 words?
Oh, wow. Optimistic for sure. That's the word that you live by, and I see it. I see it all over you and through you. I would say strategic. Yeah. I think what you've built and what you've put together, I think it's not by happenstance. I really think that you thought about this when you did it, but then it was like, but how do I, down to the name of it. I think that's just the way in which you're wired. And I think at the root of all of it, you're heart-centered. And that's what moves me to elevate you today and just the work that you do. And I'm so thankful for you. I think you're going to be, it's almost, I don't know, I can almost visualize, like, when you go to someone's website and you see like their timeline, it's like Sarah's face now with 20 degrees. It's like in our timeline, because we laugh, but it was this critical moment in what we needed to do that when you all came in, it really now is starting to change the trajectory of like how we're thinking about where we could land and be for the rest of the organization's existence. And so
I remember when we met and there was an energy.
Yeah. I know. I was really excited too. Yeah. On top of that energy. I want you to just look in this camera before we close out and just speak to that nonprofit leader who just needs to hear from you some encouraging words today around this whole climate and just what's happening and how they could really elevate by having a conversation. Yeah.
You are not alone. We will figure this out. There are actually ways that we can all find a way to be together in deeper community so that you can get to tomorrow and the next week and the next budget and the next board meeting and the next HR conversation, that you will have, that there's a way to enough for your mission. And that we might even have some fun along the way. And this still work is joy. It is change making. It isn't always joyful, but oftentimes it can be if you're not alone. So what I would say is find someone who's easy to sit with, have a cup of coffee, and just know, find the one question you need today and just keep going.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is amazing. We're definitely going to make sure that you get information about 20 Degrees and how you can find them. Your website, if you want to say it again.
Yes, it is 20degs, DEGS.com. So for 20 Degrees.
Awesome. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. This was amazing.
Real treat.
I just want to say to you today, too, just thank you so much for tuning in. I'm asking you to please share this with a nonprofit leader that needs the support, that needs insights, that needs just new creative thinking and innovative tools to help them grow and develop their organization, because we're all doing amazing work and we cannot do this work alone. No sole organization is the answer and the end all to all of the problems that we're trying to solve together as a community. But if we share this powerful message with someone, then, we can all further advance all of our missions, and we'll be surprised to see what happens next. So thank you for being here. Stay tuned. See you next time. And just remember, relationships are the infrastructure of everything.